if you're looking for how to drive employee engagement, which is, of course, the holy grail of any plan design, you are in the right place. We're going to talk about shifting from implementation to actual engagement. And the key to that is to understand that when you're helping people understand employee benefits, marketing matters. What is the definition of marketing? It's the action of promoting products or services, as in helping people make the best decisions for themselves and their families. Now, unlike Super Bowl ads for Doritos, that kind of marketing, we're going to be talking about educational marketing. Why? And why does it matter? Well, these three points are kind of our North Star, if you will, or kind of the foundation of why we do the work that we do. The first one is that only 12% of the US population is healthcare literate. Some of my examples were stolen earlier, but an average American does not even understand the fact that they can shop for an MRI, or that if they're at the corner of Health and Happiness, that's Walgreens, but Walgreens and CVS, that with depending on their PBM, well, CVS may be infinitely cheaper. It's not something that we're educated on, and you may be the smartest person at what you do, but it's not intuitive. The second, medical bankruptcy is one of the leading causes of personal bankruptcy in our country. From the employer standpoint, you know the hemorrhaging of money that is going out by uneducated plan members. It's also killing them too financially. And then the third one that really should matter most to everybody in this room is that employers report that they feel like only 68% of employers feel that their benefits are underutilized. So all the hard work, those that put the plan design together, you've got this perfect storm. You're offering incredible benefits. People don't know that they exist. Even if they did, they would not know how to navigate it, and it's costing everyone a lot of money. So what qualifies me to be up here to talk about this? Well, thank you for being here. I'm Sally Pace. I'm the CEO of a company called Connect Healthcare Collaboration, or CHC. We're an employee benefits marketing and engagement firm. We have 4 different business lines. We start top of the funnel, and we touch every aspect of the benefits ecosystem, specifically focused on the self-funded, employer-sponsored health plan arena. Mouthful. We help point solutions build their brand strategies. So think PPAs, PBMs, stop-loss carriers, build their strategy to reach the broker, consultant community, and the employer community. Then we step down a level, and we offer 2 forms of advocacy. Benefits advocacy, glorified way of saying enrollment and onboarding with marketing principles attached. Clinical advocacy, marrying marketing principles with clinical outreach to drive engagement. When we do that, we're averaging our average is about 50% increase in vendor utilization within the plan, but goes up to 200%. Those 3 are more high touch. Our last business line is a platform that we've built called the Granite List. It does for the point solution arena what OpenTable does for restaurants or TripAdvisor does for hotels. So think in terms of you're looking for a diabetes management solution or for query filing solution, or you just heard from we don't have Deer Hold, Deer Walk, Loomlight. Somebody talked about FedLogic earlier. These are the kinds of solutions that are on the Granite List. So we eat, sleep, and breathe this universe from a educational marketing and communications standpoint. And we believe that it's not that employees don't engage with benefits because it's a failure of intent. It's because they don't understand and they really don't know how to navigate it. So it's our job, y'all's job, to help change that narrative. How do you do that? Well, the success of a plan relies on driving engagement. You know that. If you're a producer, you've sold something to your employer group that and employees need to take action in order for that ROI to happen. Marketing is essential for driving enrollment engagement in that. So let's go back to the importance of educational marketing. It's called, a little marketing term, it's called the rule of 7. Most people have to see something multiple times before they take any action. It's that sweet spot of between 6 and 8 times that you're onto something. So I want you to think about your own behavior. Think about LinkedIn, Instagram. You're being served up ads. You typically see them, they come through your feed multiple times before you ever even begin to pay attention. So it's that subconscious behavior. On the fifth time, kind of that fourth to fifth time is when you actually start to pay attention. That's why those of you that pay for LinkedIn ads, you pay the big bucks for that repetition. It's then that sixth to eighth time that you decide to actually take action. You either love what you see or you're getting really annoyed. Well, it's the same thing with plan design and educating plan members. So how do you market employer-sponsored benefits? We're going to talk about the 3 R's: reach, repetition, and relevancy. And you have on your table, this is going to be interactive in a little bit. I'm going to talk for a few minutes, and then we're going to get into the meat of it and make it how it best applies to you. So reach. This is about communication channels and meeting employees where they are. So who within the organization needs to know about plan design? You have to consider your audience and what resources you've already given to them. So examples, do you have truck drivers or frontline plant workers that take benefits? Do they also have a company email? Repetition. This is where you're finding ways to embed the messages throughout strategic, consistent reinforcement. And this is where it matters. I love talking to plan members or point solutions, and they say, well, we sent them a letter right after open enrollment. You sent one letter that you hope they got in their pile of junk mail after they'd been on vacation for a week and did something with it. Well, that's not going to cut it. So what do they need to know about plan design? And if you're like most plan designers, things are very different than they were just a few years ago. So especially we've talked a little bit in these past sessions about the unbundling of plans, this rise of reference-based pricing. Talk about needing to explain what reference-based pricing is to your plan members. These things are important, but they require a lot of attention. So this is where those 7 touches come in. In traditional marketing, a lot of businesses make the mistake of not considering the audience when they're creating the content. And as a benefits leader, it's crucial to you. You've got to stand in multiple shoes in order to build that effective messaging. So what are some ways you can do it? Pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. And it really is true. You think about kind of the rise of infographics, or how you can take a very complex concept. And I mean, we see this all the time in international travel where you see the sign and you know exactly what they're telling you without even understanding the words under it. Video. How many of you use video to explain benefits to plan members? Raise your hand. Good. Star students. All right. So 72% of people said they would rather learn about a new service by way of a video. I know I have a 13-year-old who is continuously watching YouTube and learning from YouTube and gaming, but whatever, he's learning. And so it's the same way with adults. I mean, we really have kind of shifted into that knowledge of or gathering information by way of video. But that does not mean that paper is dead. This is still a really key way to communicate with plan members. So think about, with the groups you serve, do they have highly visible, corporate? I used to work for AutoZone. This was in the early 2000s, and I remember we would create content, and it would literally get put on a pushpin board, and they still use them in their stores, even this day. Think about all these different ways that you can communicate with plan members in a paper environment, or even good old-fashioned handouts like you're going to get today. Next, 85% of Americans report that they have a cell phone. So even if your plan members don't have corporate email, this is still a really effective way to communicate. Now, it does require specifically texting. Is anybody using texting to communicate with members? A couple of you. There are some laws around it. You do have to have opt-in, opt-out language, but it's a very powerful way to communicate. And then this is my other favorite. So my parents are 82 and 84 years old. And if there was any silver lining in COVID, was the use of the QR code. Remember going into restaurants where you'd have to snap the QR code to see the menu because they didn't hand it. So even my parents figured this out. QR codes are great ways to, again, take a whole lot of information and pull it down into this very small square so that people can access information, really giving them a way. You can have lots of links in it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The other piece that we sometimes overlook is the spouse. Now, those of you that are intimately involved in the data oversight of plans know that spouses often are more expensive than employees, so do not overlook them. It's been reported that 49% of employees want to consult a partner or spouse, and I'm not going to make this into a sexist statement, but the statistics show that females typically make medical plan decisions for their families, not necessarily on the voluntary benefit side, but on the medical plan side. And so it is so important to give them information that they can take home, that they can share with their spouses and talk through, whether they're male or female. Third R, relevancy. So there's been this huge uptick of data and AI. We've heard about it a lot over the past couple of days. And this is one of the best ways to take that data, take different modes of communication, and make it a one-size-fits-all benefits. Instead of doing one-size-fits-all benefits communication plan, really segmenting people. 60-year-old male doesn't need to know about fertility benefits unless his son or daughter are on the health plan as well. Again, segmenting out diabetes management. There are so many ways that you can slice and dice and personalize communication based on data. I'm just curious, is anybody doing that? Are you tailoring messages based on the different inputs of data you have? Well, we'll give you some tools to start in a little bit. Just to kind of paint a picture, drive it home. You've got these different plan members. You've got Carefree Carla. She's young, ambitious. She does not care a thing about thinking about getting sick, really thinking about her future, but she does care a tremendous amount about DEIB. Well, whether you're putting plans together or you all work for an employer, you're responsible for making sure that her needs are met. Sensible Sam, this is me. We've got family focusing benefits and then also caregiving benefits for aging parents. And so he has a very specific need. He needs to know about the benefits that are available that meet his needs. Wise Wade. I guess I kind of straddle several of these because I do have my Cologuard kit sitting at home. I have not used it yet, but he's nearing retirement. He's looking for financial tools that are of value to him. It's also coupled with that reinforcement of age-appropriate prevention education. And he's on the plan too. So we're about to dive into some work together. This is one of my most favorite quotes. This by one of my most favorite authors. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Again, I'll go back to that one letter, one time right after open enrollment. That does not a communications plan make. The next is internal influencers. So here, a lot of times we tend to lean into the CEO, the CFO, chief HR officer to be on camera, this is where video is fantastic. It is a fantastic way to tell your story, either through explainer videos or through testimonial videos. But I want to encourage you to think about not using the C-suite all the time. Think about, I know on the clinical advocacy side, we love to find the gruffest employee that has been there for 35 years and is known to complain the most. And when you hit a home run with that person and get them on camera and talk about the experience they've had, you better believe that If they're in the warehouse, everybody else in that warehouse and 3 warehouses over know that this is a great service and that they also need to pay attention. So internal influencers within your plan population or population, who are some people that you know of that you could tap into to help be that voice? All right, let's move over to repetition. So frequency. This is where the rule of 7 comes in. How many of you feel like you have an opportunity to communicate a little bit more than you do right now? All right, format variety. This is where we move from the left-hand side. You've got your channel strategy. You know the ways that you're going to do it. You've got a plan for what you could be doing. This is where it's really important to remember to keep the same message. You do not want to come up with 7 different messages. You simply want to say it 7 different times. So format variety. How are you delivering the message in a different mode each time? From the left that you listed you could use, which ones do you need to adopt more of? And then finally, I know everyone in here may not be an English lit major like I was and love to write verbose things out. And finally, we're going to turn to relevancy. So personalization is huge. I talked about it earlier, using data to really hyper-target certain plan members. So I want you to think about kind of the life stage, location, role, and preference of communication. That's another one. Everybody in here is dealing with generational workforces, and there are lots of ways that people prefer to be communicated with across those generations, or different ways that they want to be communicated with across those generations. And then when it comes to relevancy, real world connection is so important. This is where, when you're sending these messages, think about going back to that, put yourself in the shoes of the people you're serving. So throughout the year, telling plan members that Tier 2 dental offering is how you can either get better coverage on braces or dental, or bridge implants or whatever. Telling them that so that they can plan ahead, thinking ahead. Again, I've got a 13-year-old. Next year's the year for braces, so I'll be doing the buy-up. Same thing. I love the parent examples because we tend to care more about our kids' health than sometimes we do our own. But hospital indemnity. Do you have a football player in the family that you're worried about? So giving those real world examples of how you might use voluntary benefits, how you might use just the medical plan in general. Most, again, average Americans don't understand in-network versus out-of-network, especially if you've got a workforce that's traveling and really needs to be educated on that. And then finally, simplification. So it's been joked about during several sessions. We live in a world of jargon, lots of acronyms. I have been married to a person in the benefits space for 29 years this summer. He started when he was in college in the insurance industry. And I remember the first time I heard him on the phone talking to somebody about STD. I almost died. We weren't married yet. And there was a time where I was like, are we going to get married? I didn't know what it was. Your plan members have no clue what some of these acronyms are. So when you are creating messages, it is so important that you never use acronyms. Always spell it out. So simplification. How can you, who uses ChatGPT and asks it to write at a 5th grade reading level? Those are 2 very real examples of how you can simplify your message. And then finally, based on all of that, what's one way that you can make your message more relevant starting today? So this is I'm a very driven person. So this is when you walk out of here, what's one thing you're going? The other thing is, don't forget to define what success looks like. I want them to use this service. That's the end goal. I want them to do this thing, but tell it that that's what you want it to do, because it's a predictive model. It's not an intuitive model. Well, thank you for playing along. Okay, so on the table, you've got 2 different handouts. One is the worksheet, and then also the report that we recently released. based on surveys about the benefits ecosystem. So please take both of those, and thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.